Phantomia was an empire found in North America, long before Native Americans even lived here. Phantomia wasn't an empire that fought over land or other empires in order to expand. This is because North America hadn't been discovered yet. Phantomia got its name because it was like a phantom, an empire that disappeared long ago and no one noticed its existence, an empire that we thought never existed. We thought Native Americans were the first people here, but it was actually the civilization. This empire was built around 4000 BC, and it moved from what's known today as Michigan all the way to the state of Florida. Phantomians were people who lived together to build an empire. They followed the same characteristics as any other empire that formed around the world. They even have developed a language and were able to communicate. They had many similar traits to other empires and tied the characteristics together in order to make an empire and a civilization. They had a normal government with a king on top making laws and everyone else below him. If you didn't follow the orders, you were executed. It was a very simple law. The social structure wasn't very complicated and it was pretty simple. Under the king was his generals and his engineers, who were educated in order to build what the king wanted. Under them were citizens and farmers. Below them were the servants and the slaves following the king's orders. Barak I was the first man to lead Phantomia. During his time, the people had a problem. The weather was always changing, and it would be super cold at night. And in the winter it would snow. Barak, however, found a solution, which made him king. He was rubbing sticks together and it caused smoke, so he got scared of it and threw it in a hole, which caused fire. When the people found out, they thought it was a gift from God and that Barak was sent to save them. They declared him king and obeyed all his orders. Barak died and his son took over, Barak II. He wanted to create a way for people to draw out or write plans in order to build him a temple where he can rest in peace. Barak assigned generals and told them to create him a way to communicate in a written form so they can build a temple. The generals took in a plan and worked for 10 whole years in order to achieve this language. And finally, after hard work, they finished it. However, by the time the language finished, the king had an illness and he died suddenly. No one in the past knew why he died. Suddenly, he just fell down and died in his spot. His third cousin took over his spot as king. Osaka II was the next king of the empire. Osaka wanted to finish Barak's idea and build him a temple to make a tomb in it. However, Osaka was faced with a problem. It was a very cold and a hurricane hit the empire. Osaka fled for his life and told whoever wants to follow him can. He will not save anybody. Osaka settled in a forest about 300 miles away, and only 25% of the population was alive. Osaka told his generals to teach everyone the language in written form and show them how to communicate properly. The people who were injured and couldn't learn were taken as slaves instead of being taught. The empire reformed by the time Osaka died, and his son took over the throne. Osaka always looked up to his father and decided he would finish the temple this time. The generals made plans in order to make the temple, and the servants or slaves worked on it day and night until the temple was completed. The temple was beautifully decorated and was a castle for the king until he died. The roof was designed into a pyramid shape so when the snow falls down it doesn't disturb the king in his slumber. All the windows were shaded and locked with the doors so no one would dare steal the king's treasure. What people didn't know, however, about this temple was there was a secret entrance in the back, stairs that led to the tomb of the king. These stairs were decorated with lanterns, with flowers and trees. And then beyond these stairs was the doors. The doors had windows on them, but the windows were shaded in so no one can see what's inside. The doors were permanently locked, so nobody can ever interrupt the king in his slumber. The next king was a very powerful one. His name was Cass. This king saw how his people starved through the winter and found an idea to reserve food that was planted and hunted using special chemicals. These chemicals didn't make the food go bad and lasted throughout the whole winter. With people having more free time and not starving, they focused on other economic activities. People started creating jobs and teaching the young ones how to communicate. People made medicine that helped them survive through the winter and made thicker clothes. Now the population spread down even further, all the way to the land of the sun. By the time the king died and his seventh son took over the throne, trade started to develop. People from the land of the sun would trade things with the people up north. OG became the next king. OG made all the generals carve the laws on stone in the temple in order for the future kings to follow them. Some laws were only male figures can become kings. If you kill someone, you will be executed. If you disobey the king, you will be executed. If you steal something, you will return it. If you invade the king's temple, you will be banished. The empire of Phantomia slowly evolved into a country, taking over more and more land. That is, until warfare began. A civil war occurred, burying the empire underground. The empire had too much power and everyone got greedy, until in the end, the country was no more.